Kanikapu with us. Yeah. You want Kanikapu first, okay? Alright.
Yeah.
Alright. Yeah. Kanikapu. 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 Yo! Yo! Yeah! Yeah! Yo! Yo! Yeah! Yeah! Maua.
So it might be fine to pick up.
I'll fix it as we go along, but yeah, we'll see.
Okay. Aloha kako, aloha. Aloha ia mai o ko. Aluhia hoi I Ke Akua I ko kako makua. So aloha to everybody out there in the world. We're live streaming, and this is a group called the Coalition of Hawaiian Nationals.
Yo!
And we're here on the day, the 130th anniversary of the day that our country was hijacked by the U.S. and a group of insurgents living in the Hawaiian Islands. And we are observing this day because it was the day where things went awry for our people. And 130 years ago, it started the whole process of the U.S. takeover of our nation. And so we are today here, 130 years later, to advocate for the restoration of our nation as a sovereign and independent country. So this is something that's been long in the works, and we are very pleased because we are here at the Palace grounds today because there's a large celebration going on, and lots and lots of people here to observe this day and to again make a stand that the Hawaiian Kingdom still exists, its people still exist, and we're in the process of restoring our nation and reactivating the nation. So we called this press conference for a couple of reasons. Now there will be several of us speaking, but it's primarily to talk about who we are as a nation, who we are. For many, many years we grew up thinking we were Americans. But 30 years ago, one of our compatriots, our sister Iolani Palace Jan, strode on these palace grounds and declared very emphatically, we are not American.
Yo!
We are not American. We are not American. And she said it over and over. And she said, yeah, we are Hawaiians and we will die Hawaiians. Now that was a pretty revolutionary statement. And many of us, it didn't really sink in at the time what she was talking about because we had all grown up as if we were Americans. And there were just only a few of us here, Poka, one of them, who was actually aware of the fact that we are not Americans. And so most of us took the last few years, or a couple of dozen years, to understand what that means. So we're here to talk today about what that means and why we are emphatic about the fact that we're not Americans and in fact we are Hawaiian nationals. And so at this time I'd like to turn over to Poka Lainui.
It was after I volunteered in the U.S. Air Force, serving at Hickam Air Force Base, that I discovered the history of Hawaii. It was back in 1971, 1972. book written by Queen that had not been republished until 1960 by Tuttle Press. And had heard nothing about a King Ianuali. So while reading the book I started asking myself, how is it that I, a Hawaiian, dressed in the uniform of the Air Force, serving the United States military, and doing the same thing that the Americans had done to us, now we're doing to what was happening in Vietnam. At that time I changed my course. I became committed to being a Hawaiian national. I didn't know exactly what it was, but I was certainly not a U.S. citizen. I had planned to blow up buildings, to kill Americans, to get rid of the colonization that clutched to Hawaii. But I knew that I would get caught. And for what good? There was really no education in Hawaii, and what we needed was a revolution in education. And so I decided to go back to law school. When I got out of the military, University of Hawaii just opened its doors, and I was able to enter its first entering class. And so I decided on a plan not to blow up buildings, but to go into the system and explode from the inside with truth, with honesty, in such a way that they could not stop me from talking. So I eventually got my law degree, got licensed, and have been pushing for Hawaiian sovereignty, for Hawaiian independence ever since. The first opportunity came in 1976, 1977, when someone asked me if I would represent them, and he was the reputed underworld leader of Hawaii, and his name was Wilfred Kala'aula. And so when I met with Mappy, we talked about what was needed in Hawaii. We needed to educate. We needed to revolutionize the current discussions going on as to who we were. And there was a building over there, Iolani, where the trial was held. And when they charged him with double murder and double kidnap, I was able to respond. When they asked him, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty? We said, we refuse to answer to your charges. Instead, we ask, who are the real criminals in this courtroom? Is it the defendant or is it the Americans who sit in judgment over us and begin to dish out sentences? So we refuse to reply, to answer his charges. We had the longest trial in Hawaii's history at that time. And we were able to begin the education process of Hawaii. Now the year at that time was 1977, on the grounds that we were Hawaiians, not Americans, and we would defend the case. They refused to accept that ground. We went through a jury trial, and yet the jury found Mr. Pulava not guilty of all charges. And that was the initiating of the concept that we are not Americans, we are Hawaiians. And from there we started laying out the rest of the trials that we had. I was charged for failure to register as a juror with a federal court. And I got into a beef with Sam King. And he said, how can you possibly say that you're not an American citizen? I said, easy. And so we had this battle between he and I. He tried to pull my license away, and I still practice in all the courts in the state of Hawaii. So these are continuing controversies that we get in, whether it's at Makua, where a group said that we are Hawaiian nationals and not American citizens, and I represented them and we pled not guilty. And there are so many different cases. But the thing is that we constantly reminding ourselves there was one person I met at home bookstore. Here, Hawaiian women. She asked me, are you still in the Hawaiian sovereignty movement? I said, there is no place else to be. What about you? She said, I'm waiting for the storm to come and have that storm of Hawaiian sovereignty wash through, and then I will join in. Storms are created by raindrops, small raindrops. We cannot for that storm to simply rush in, but we have to be the raindrops which constantly participate in the reminder that we are Hawaiians and not Americans. So what I tried to do in a meeting that Leon and Kaukaohu and I had was gather our thoughts as to specifically what is a Hawaiian national. We have many organizations, groups, people claim to be the sovereign or the ali'i and all that stuff in Hawaii. That's not a problem, that's okay. But what is a unifying statement of who the Hawaiian nationals are?
So maybe we can get to that and have some other people comment.
Yeah. And later on I will distribute some of the copies of this statement and we can talk about precisely that. Who are the Hawaiian nationals? Okay, thank you very much.
All right. So, yes, anyone would like to comment on the Hawaiian National or being part of the coalition?
After being awoken, I am forever a Hawaiian national, loyal to my country, to my queen, to my people and its resources. For we as Kanako Iwi, as Kikiokaina, in our own ancestral lands, we're on the bottom because of what had happened to us historically and dramatically. I would say from 1787, the Bennett Constitution. But we are, as our fellow colleagues, we are thriving. We are trying our best, and we want to do everything in pono. But, however, you cannot, wrong is wrong, right is right. There's no treaty of annexation, thus we are here. So, my name is Kaukohu Wahilani, no Puea Maya, Waianae Valley. Aloha.
Mahalo. Rico, would you like to say?
Yes. Hello, my name is Kaumanu Muk. I'm from Waimanalo. And my heart is with brothers like these and sisters. I've been with you folks a long time. Uncle Palipu's presence and Hank's presence is here right now. That's how far my heart was with them. And I follow their hearts because it's for our children's future. That's why I'm here to speak my word and to give my life for what is right.
Yo.
Hello.
Rico?
On November 4th, 1988, I was in Washington, D.C. I was invited by a delegation of Alaskan chiefs, heads of their tribes, who were very concerned about the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act and how it was adversely affecting the inhabitants of the territories of Alaska. being that we both, Hawaii and Alaska, as well as Puerto Rico and other countries, were put on the list of non-self-governing territories under the United Nations Charter, Chapter 11. And so when I was in Washington, D.C. that day, I was staying at the Quaker House. And it was the day that Ronald Reagan, Republican president, signed the Proxmire Act. And this act was the codification of the United Nations Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, which for 40 years Senator Proxmire had tried to get the United States to admit that genocide is and may continue to occur within the territories of the United States. So the aspect when it relates to identity is in the definition of those who qualify as being those subjected to acts of genocide, either in the form of inciting an act to be committed or specifically intentionally committing an act. And the definitions were, well, by religion, by color, by ethnicity, and then it says national origin. Since that time, and bringing it really to the forefront in Mauna Kea, in the court proceedings, was fortunate to have some guidance from the kupunas on the foundation of Hawaiian law in our identity, and submitted is a pro se before the trial even got on was Abel, Louis, and I are entering the court as Hawaiian nationals in the Ahupua of Kaohe, of which we are not subject, etc. We basically laid out our identity and what we consider would be an intrusion upon our jurisdiction. Okay. One of the points that was brought before the court, our court, because the courts in Hawaii were established under Hawaiian Kingdom law, that even shows you an aspect of continuity that still exists. Okay? That in November 25th, 1892, Queen Liliuokalani, even after the Bayonet Constitution, could see the writing on the wall. Just in case, what would it be that she would invest her time and her mana to protect the rights, the certain rights of the people. And so on that day is created by Hawaiian Kingdom law, Hawaiian Kingdom legislature, Hawaiian national usage was put into law. And it is by her definition of us, and the definition even of using a foreign language, which is a very delicate process because our language embodies has so many different levels of meaning. But she used Hawaiian national usage. So this is my foundation, and I would kind of close it up. Last night we come here, and I had heard, I think Kahaka was reading persons who were buried here. Their iwi, their bones, their spirit is here. One of them was Liho Liho. And so it was this melody, Ke ano ahi ahi, ke aloha. So I went around, I got up out of bed, and I had 2 cups of coffee, so I don't know what I was doing laying down. So I was supposed to be up, and I walked around. And then when I came to lay down, I had brought with me, instead of my volumes of computer and stuff, because my back getting sore carrying all this stuff, I brought a little notepad. And all of a sudden, this voice starts talking to me and says to me, your salvation, the salvation is to be found in the language that has been codified into law, naturally speaking. And I actually wrote it down. And that's what I've been sharing this morning.
Yeah.
And it's ironic that it should come up that the topic would be exactly to, if we need a reference coming from our queen that say of who we can be when we exercise our liberty, if we are aware of who we can be, that we can be a Hawaiian national.
Yeah.
And it also is not restricted to us by Koko,
Yeah.
but others can participate in a non-discriminatory fashion because we are not our neutrality, the essence of our neutrality prior to this day 130 years ago was as a neutral country, impartiality. What I would share with one, I am obligated to share with the other.
Yeah.
And in this process, we will stop the civil war that has existed amongst our people for 130 years, was protracted and is still continuing today. And that this is a process where we can unify our people again.
Ayo.
Yeah.
And through there, we follow that we will be able to provide a process and a direction forward, not just for us, but for the people who honestly do not know the story. Those people who Queen Liliuokalani reached out and asked for the honest American. One little footnote, okay, to bring it into the context of what do we need to mindsets, what mindsets do we need to, what can we bring up from the past to illuminate the awareness of the people of America and the people that say the United States as a member of the United Nations body is kind of, in their club, they read the same notes and things like that. Was at the debate on November 27th in the Senate on the apology for what happened in 1893. The Republicans, Senator Gordon and them, had just returned from Bosnia-Herzegovina, where, imagine 400 years from now, we finally say, I've had it, give me my 307 and I'm going to start shooting people. And so when they entered into the chambers and this measure of the Akaka bill and this sort of deal to deal with an apology, the questions came from the Republicans, and especially from Senator Gorton, and he says, well, Senator Inouye, where are you taking us? Are you taking us back to the kingdom? Are you taking us back to the common ownership of land? And Senator Inouye stands up and says, oh, let me assure my colleagues, this is a simple apology. This has nothing to do with the question of whether or not Native Hawaiians are Native Americans, and certainly has nothing to do with the Hawaiian Homes Act. The reality on this day in the annals of what has happened at the executive branch is we have been turned into a tribal unit. Okay, treated as a tribe, servitude, we are Hawaiian Homes, apartheid, the same reasons why the South African Corporation was expelled from Namibia for not having a treaty of annexation and enforcing policies of apartheid because of your national origin, color, religion, color, and distinction. The distinction that has been put on us as a Native Hawaiian is the language which is in the law, which the voice said last night. To know that language is to allow you to free yourself. So this is why I share this now, because it's our year sort of starts on 1890, on January 7th. I was flashing on that this morning. Some people, New Year's is January 31st. For us, it's January 17th, and we're back. So we have lots of work. We've come a long way. Future generations are waiting for us. And I think one of the most important things is to recall history like this, to know where not to go, and where in mindsets politically people should move on from that language, because we free ourselves, we can free and lift off with the American people. The effect that would have on the world would be a tremendous effect, and we need it. We need the aloha. We need peace. But peace is a process, not a destination.
Yes.
So, mahalo. Nice to see you, be with my friends. Hello. Yay! Hello, I know.
Is there anyone else would like to comment about Hawaiian nationality? And
Well, I'd like to say one thing. For me, the awakening is the prime official would be 1893 and the so-called Koe petition that was discovered by Anthony Noinoe, which went up there in, I guess, in 1997. We didn't know about the Koe petition prior to that. So I think for me, after the truth came out about the Koe petition and we never got annexed, so I questioned myself, if we never got annexed, then who are we? If we're not part of America, then what are we? What are we just subjects of the kingdom but not? Or are we good Americans? You know, have we been indoctrinated into being Americans because of conquest? And the conclusion was yes. It's because of illegal prolonged occupation of the United States of America on our sovereign country. They have no jurisdiction here. They have no right. America, we are not Americans, period. The bottom line is we are not Americans. Then who are we? If we're not Americans, who are we? We have to answer the questions. And the nationality comes back to who we are as a neutral country, the neutral country of the Kingdom of Hawaii. So to me, the Koe petition kind of like when sealed the deal in me acknowledging and understanding who I am, you know, as a Kanaka in a national sense instead of a citizen sense. So if that makes any sense, you know, I am a sovereign national under the jurisdiction of the Kingdom of Hawaii. And my queen is my queen, and I will never relinquish that fact. And I am not an American, I will never be an American. I will die as a Hawaiian, I was born as a Hawaiian. So,
Uncle, introduce yourself to the masses.
I'm Anakala Earl De Leon. Is my American so-called name given to me because of the oppression that was put upon my parents, where they couldn't name us anything else but an English name. Everybody had to take church names. But my ohana name is Ke Akua Aloha from South Kona, Moku Ke Avi. Aloha no, aloha no.
Okay.
I'd like to say something.
Yes. Introduce yourself.
Aloha no kako makaio ko inoa no wailua mai au kinoho nei au ma waianai I ka iliaina o Puea. I am a non-koko Hawaiian. And what I mean by that is that I am a Ke Akua Aloha, born of this land. My eve and my piko is here. My parents and my grandparents' piko is from here. But my koko, my ancestry comes from the Philippines and from Ireland. Yeah. My Papa Joe Barcena is the Hawaiian one, and he raised me to believe that I was a Hawaiian. I'm a cultural practitioner because of him. I started dancing hula, I started learning Olelo Hawaii and chants. And when I started to learn the history and believing that I am a Hawaiian, I didn't know the difference until I realized that, you know, I'm being deprived of my nationality because of the occupation of Hawaii or by the United States of America. And there's just an incredible identity crisis because of that. I'm not Hawaiian enough, but I'm not American either. And so I long for the day that I can sign my name to that pala so that my legal status matches my heart, my mind, and the mo'oku auhao of the ike that has been poured into me. Mahalo.
Would you like to say something? Okay.
Aloha, Aloha, o Ahunui Burgess, ko inoa Makaha mai au. So my name's Ahunui Burgess and I come from Makaha. So I guess my whole story kind of starts first grade of school. So the school I used to go to, it was required that you would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the Star Spangled Banner. You'd have to salute to the flag and everything. So back then I didn't know very much about the Hawaiian annexation or anything like that. So around 2nd grade, my dad started teaching me Hawaiian, the Hawaiian history, everything like that. And I started not standing for all of that. And I remember my teacher would yell at me and like degrade me for not standing there. Now, let me ask this. Why should I be shamed and ashamed for not standing for somebody, for the nation that took over my nation, my culture, everything? What was the point of that? So I continued strong, and I didn't stand for it anywhere else. I do boxing, and it was required. USA boxing, you need to stand for this, you need to do this, you gotta go up. But I would never do it, and I would get weird looks from the crowd because I would be the only one sitting. So soon enough, from people at school, people from fights, people from all over, they would ask me, "Hey, why are you not standing? What's up with you?" All of that. And I would tell them about all of the annexation, and I would explain the history. And little by little, I could see that they're starting to understand. Maybe not a deep understanding, but they would see where I'm coming from and all that's happened. And I really hope that from there, they deepen their understanding and history of the Hawaiian annexation and how wrong that was. So I feel like I'm a prime example that no matter how young, how old, no matter where you come from, you can learn about the culture and you can take it to deep understanding. And all I hope for in the future is that other people like me, other generations, anyone will be able to learn, speak Hawaiian, do normal Hawaiian things, without being shamed for that.
From the young mind of tomorrow's future.
By the way, Ahonui, who's your papa?
Does anyone else have a comment?
Kalyana, you have something to say to someone else?
Let's hear from Hono. Hono is, by the way, Hono is one of the University of California students who've been fighting TMT. It's been really super awesome over there. They're actually there's a Board of Regents meeting today. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. And they've been going up against them like constantly
Since
and really
2019.
intensively. She's been going to the regents themselves and talking to them. And they're like the offensive of a lot of the battle, on those guys' home turf. So really mahalo you, Honu. You do awesome work.
Mahalo. O honu aina ko'ui noa, o Mauna Lua mai au. I work at a local ea out in Haleiwa. I just moved back home. I finished my BA from UC Santa Barbara in international or political science, international relations for my people. It was at Pu'uhuluhulu on Mauna Kea that I realized and I learned, I heard the eloquency from my Kanaka, from my people, of the annexation and the illegal occupation, that I realized that United States has no jurisdiction. And we know that. And we know that for a fact. And so I knew that that was my kuleana, because I had the privilege to go overseas, and I wanted to, my na'au sent me to Santa Barbara because the UC system is a primary funder for the 30-meter telescope. And so being able to be a Kanaka advocate against the telescope on home base, to find Chancellor Yang, to talk to him eye to eye and try to reach his heart and to make him feel, to understand that he is complicit in this genocide in settler colonialism. It was, I had the privilege of being a student advocate to the Board of Regents for the UC system. And what I will learn is that no matter how high up you go in terms of these elites, they will never take accountability for the history and their complicity. They will always say that I haven't been briefed. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing is wrong. I'm sure there's a way that I can compromise. And I'm like, hey, I'm Kanaka. I can brief you right now. Actually, I'm pretty sure I'm the person that you would want to be briefed by, instead of these people who are actively perpetuating settler colonialism. But I just want to mahalo you all for, it's so nice to finally be back in community with No Kalahui, because it was tough being away from home, but building up movement of student power at UC system, because the UC system is land-grant universities. So they reside on native land there too. And UC Santa Barbara sits on Chumash land, stolen Chumash land, on burial grounds. There is Iwi Kupuna there too. And their souls are emanating, hurting, and it hurts our living students on our campus too. So I also had the pleasure and privilege to fly to DC for the White House Tribal Nation Summit. And first things first that I did was call Auntie Laulani and Uncle Liko to make sure I had my head on my shoulders, because I was going into the belly of the beast. And I wanted to make sure that I came out uncompromised, yeah? I wanted to make sure that they knew that I didn't stand for federal recognition. You know, that this is an issue of treaties, not tribes. That they cannot boil us down to put us in a tribe, because we know, Kanaka know, that that's gonna divide us. We don't need them. Federal recognition is not what we need. What we need is to restore sovereignty. And it's not even restoring sovereignty, it's recognizing that that sovereignty was never lost, right? And even more so was that power of, when I flew up, it was on Laku'oko'a. My soul felt Tutu Pele as she erupted for the first time since the 80s. The winds are changing. I think for me is that I went to UC Santa Barbara and I had to stand as a Kanaka and learn the language of the colonizer and try to decolonize my mind actively as I am learning it, right? Because international relations is very fear-based. You assume that everyone and all the countries are anarchic and that you have to attack before the other person attacks you. That's not aloha aina, that's heva. That foundation, that kahua is wrong. At bottom line, that kahua is not sturdy. That's what I learned from that oppressive system that is controlling us today, is that that foundation is not sturdy. And I am constantly told by my professors. One of my professors, she had a Juris Doctorate. She wasn't actually a lecturer, but she taught federal public lands law and policy. And I also called her on my way up to DC, trying to get some ike and figure out how I can best navigate in these spaces, in these institutional spaces, to also be uncompromised, because I know my history. And I will advocate for my history, because I know that that's what my kuleana is for. I have a voice, and I'm going to use it. And she worked for the Clinton administration in the 90s. And she told me, she got so mad at me when I told her that I did not stand for federal recognition. She got so mad at me. She's like, she actually offered me, this woman owns Aina in Molokai. And I was like, have you ever been to Molokai? I'm pretty sure if you've seen that Aina, you would not feel welcome there. But she had offered to give that land back to me under one condition. We get federally recognized. I was like, who are you to hold that Aina from Kanaka? Seriously, I was like, ay. But she also I told her, I was just like, I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna stand for the truth, the oya i'o of my people, of my nation. And she told me that I was bonkers, crazy, radical, a purist, actually. She called me a purist. And she said that I was crazy to ever even consider that I would not in my lifetime be able to, I was like, because this isn't issues of treaties of tribes. I was like, this is more of territories, right? Guam, Marshall Islands, not of Native American tribes. And so she thought that I was going on the wrong direction and that I was gonna make people's eyes roll back as soon as I said, oh, it's January 17th, 1893. She's like, that was like, once you talk about the 1800s, nobody's gonna listen to you and take what you say seriously. And I was like, that's because nobody's done anything since 1893. And was it not your administration, the Clinton administration that half-wittedly apologized and acknowledged said annexation, she had nothing to say about that. And so I am just piha to be with my people again. I find it like to be with my people who stand. I will never compromise. I will I will never compromise who I am, who our history is, and what our people know to be true. No matter how much they tell us that we need to be federally recognized because that's how we need money. We don't need their money. Queen said we don't need their money. Oh yeah. But so I'm just very piha to be in space with you. The power is through aloha. Kapu aloha. But aloha can be fierce. And that's what they forget, is that aloha isn't that commodified, fetishized version that we are told to know, that we commercialize our aloha. Aloha is what Mauna Kea is. Ka ho'olave, pohakuloa. It's this here table. So I am just very piha to be in space with you all, to continue to learn from you all. Love you, Uncle Liko.
Do you have anything you want to say, Cassandra?
Some of what I see the lips moving over there.
Cassandra and Max, they're wahana to us, they're hui kuliki kapo. They're great settler allies.
Mahalo for that. It is an honor to be able to literally stand here and hold the Hawaiian flag behind the leaders of this lahui. And, you know, in reading the declaration here, it was an honor to read it. And I also look forward to being able to, officially claim Hawaiian nationalism, and we'll continue to stand and hold the flag behind and with you whenever asked and whenever we can. And mahalo for teaching us what aloha is.
We were born Americans, but in coming here and understanding what has happened, we recognize the need for something like Hawaiian nationalism, and it's where we would like to put our efforts as well. So mahalo very much.
Mahalo. Wow. Wonderful. And this is, it's very heartwarming, and it's really exactly why we are here today, is that not only to talk about these things, but really to be part of the movement and to be part of what's going on, to be part of the mana that we all share for seeking aloha and righteousness, Lord, in our midst. Anyway, so mahalo for your words and for the encouragement and all that.
Could I ask you to recap what you said at the beginning, since our audience has some audio difficulties?
Okay.
We could recap a little bit from your Populi, just briefly, if we could. I'm going to cut off that beginning part.
Okay. So we want to actually move on to the next part of what we're here for anyway. And so this, like I mentioned, we're here to discuss Hawaiian nationality. And it's something that we've been, of course, talking about for many, many years and expressing, as we've heard expressions here, our embracing of our nationality and our rejection of the one that the U.S. government tries to place upon us. But what does that really mean? And so we're entering into a time right now where the assertion of our nationality is going to be what needs to happen in order to move the line and to move things. As we know, the last 30 years, there has been not only no forward movement after the apology for the wrong that was committed, but there was also an attempt through federal recognition to actually intensify the captivity that we are under by the United States. So unless we as Hawaiian nationals actually begin to assert that nationality in ways that are that we challenge the system that is put there to suppress our nationality. Unless we do this, then we're going to be continue to be stuck. But the good thing is that as we do this, we actually begin to enliven the nation. That is, our people, as we move toward asserting our nationality, more people will join in to do that. And I'm not talking just about numbers, but I'm talking about the depth of our nationality. As we've heard here, people live their nationality. We are Hawaii is us, and we're Hawaii, and this is part of who we are. So we are going to have a number of opportunities, and they can be legal, they can be just political opportunities to assert our nationality. And as we do, we actually raise the profile of who we are. And we raise it not only here in Hawaii Nei for others to see, but we raise it on an international level. And you know, I've often used the example of that old nursery thing. You know, here's the church, here's the steeple, open the church, where are the people? And of course it goes this way, here's the church, here's the steeple, open the church, there are the people. So we're at the stage in which we want to expose, there are the people. There are people in this nation for the world to see. The international community is convinced at this point of the legality and of the political correctness of our stance, that the Hawaiian Kingdom still exists. But the question is, where are the people? Do the people stand for this? Do the people want their nation returned? Why should a country support the return of the Hawaiian nation when there's no people? And so I tell them, yeah, there are people, we're coming. You know, we saw, you know, thousands. And I'm keiki. This is the main thing. That's the people, the future. And anyway, so it's our responsibility not only to show the rest of our ohana and our lahui that the people are here and to encourage them, but also that this will be noted by the international community, who already stands in empathy with our cause. And once they see that there are people involved and that the people are sincere and honest and are patient, peaceful, and we simply want justice to be done, and we want to do this with Ke Akua Aloha, that will be a really strong motivation for them to go ahead and support what we are asking of them on the international level. So we are embarked on like I said, challenging the system by bringing forth the fact that Hawaiian nationals are here, and that Hawaiian nationals, thus far, there's been systematic discrimination against Hawaiian nationals. And part of this is knowingly, and others is just through ignorance, that the state of Hawaii and the businesses that operate in the state of Hawaii and the corporations and all those that are here are under the assumption that Hawaiian nationals do not exist. And if we say we do, then, as you were saying, you know, they basically dismiss that as like we're crazy. But we need to actually stand up and begin to educate them or to inform them that we are here, and that the Hawaiian nationality, the Hawaiian nationals, are beginning to push for them to be accountable for the actions that they take against us that are not only discriminatory, but are actually violating our human rights as well as our legal rights to live in our own nation. So we're going to be taking this battle to the state of Hawaii, and not seeing it as necessarily a battle, but as an opportunity to convince and to enlighten many of the leaders of the state of Hawaii about what this issue is really about, because we believe that in their hearts, once they understand what it's about, that they will actually begin to change what the actions that they're doing. So that's what I wanted to just talk about today, to say that there are going to be some initiatives taken at the state legislature and in the general public to advance and to promote and to raise up the profile of Hawaiian nationality. So along that means Poka and myself and Kauko'ohu had put our heads together. Actually, it's mostly Poka drafted this, and we basically said, yeah, that looks good to us. But anyway, he's going to be talking about a declaration.
Oh, it's a declaration. Yeah, this is a copy of the draft declaration. What is a Hawaiian national? Who are we? Where is our territory? Is it required that we be of a particular blood? What is a nation? What happened back in the days such that the United States simply declared that we are no longer Hawaiians, that we are all Americans? History is important. What I try to do is summarize a lot of the stuff that has occurred.
Oh, she's down, Nani. None. Oh, yes, you're right.
When Liliuokalani yielded her authority to the American government, and mark my words, yielded and did not surrender, okay? Yielded her authority until such time as the United States have completed their investigation and returned the life of the land back to the Hawaiian people. She was actually a student of history, because 50 years before that, the British came into Hawaii through Lord Paulet and said that Hawaii is now British. And so you had the same thing that happened. An investigation was done. Who was that? Admiral Thomas sailed from South America, came to Hawaii. You had the ceremony at what is now known as Thomas Square, and the life of the land was restored back to the Hawaiian people. That day was always celebrated as a holiday among Hawaiians. Liliuokalani was a young girl at that time, and she also participated in the celebration. Remembering what had happened before, she took the same track of yielding her authority until an investigation could be done. But instead, Sanford Dole and his group then grabbed the powers of the government and then tried to give it to the United States. Who was that? President Harrison said, oh, that's great. Let's simply take a vote in Hawaii and declare Hawaii as ours. Then he was told, hey, wait, don't vote. Because almost to the man, the people of Hawaii do not support the incorporation of Hawaii into the United States. And so they had to go through all kind of convoluted actions. They recognized the provisional government. Provisional government didn't even have a constitution.
Yeah.
And so what did they do? They said, well, what we'll do is we'll call a constitutional convention. We shall have how many? 19 delegates to this convention. Sanford Dole would appoint 50%, or not 50%, what is half of 19?
10.
9.5.
Yeah. Anyway, Sanford Dole would appoint the majority, and the rest could be voted by the Hawaiian people. But to leave nothing to chance, you had to sign a pledge that you do not support Liliuokalani and you support the provisional government instead. So they went ahead, they elected their constitutional delegates, they all met, and they came out with a constitution. Now, instead of being called the provisional government, they were a legitimate Republic of Hawaii. Okay? Sanford Dole ended up as the president of the Republic of Hawaii, and then what did they do? They signed a treaty with the United States, ceding Hawaii to the United States.
I never see that treaty.
Well,
they did. They signed
They
it.
did, and did both parties
Well, the
sign it?
session, there is a treaty of annexation that has been signed.
But
However,
never ratified.
yeah, before the treaty is legal, it has to be ratified. The United States, you have to have 2/3 of those present in the U.S. Senate.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the Constitution, we're talking about the ceded land.
Oh, that's
document.
totally different.
It's a different
Totally
subject.
different. It's a different subject matter.
Let me
is
get
no
to that.
document.
Let me get to that
That's
ceded
after
land.
statehood, yeah.
So after the United States played around with the taking of Hawaii, in essence, the point is that they cheated because there was no ratification of the treaty. Okay, they circumvented the American Constitution. The American Constitution says 2/3 of those present in the U.S. Senate has to vote for it. They never get the vote. Okay? So they circumvented.
Yeah.
Then after
So
they
did not have the sanction of the United States government, this republic.
right, they circumvented their own constitution.
That's right.
Okay.
So they weren't backed by the United States.
Well, no.
Except I don't know about the Marines.
Well, you cannot go that far because the United States eventually, through President McKinley,
Right.
declared that Hawaii is now ours through the joint resolution of Congress.
Yeah. You know, that was not had
So anyway, nowhere in Hawaii's history were we legitimately part of the United States. What is that? The declaration signed by Clinton, the confession, the apology resolution itself said that the Hawaiians never lost their inherent sovereignty. When we say we are Hawaiian nationals, it is all based on this historical fact. Yeah, what were the laws of nations at that time? We have never lost our nationality. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights says that you cannot simply come in and change somebody's nationality. Okay? And that has been recognized as international law. The United Nations adopted it. So how can they say that somehow in that dark history you have lost your Hawaiian nationality? No can. So
nor did they ever take our sovereignty either. They couldn't take sovereignty.
well, they claim that they did.
Yeah, I know they
And
claim
that's
it.
why it's all illegitimate.
That's right.
Yeah.
You
So
can't take sovereignty from a country.
So we have had more and more people stand up and say, I am a Hawaiian, I am not an American, and as a result, the laws of the colonizer that have been oppressed upon us
Yes.
are all illegitimate.
Yeah.
First of all, they say that you got to finance your colonization by paying taxes to the American government or by paying taxes to the state of Hawaii. That's a colonial law that should not apply to us. There are many other laws that they impose upon us that is all illegitimate. And until we stand up and we say we are not going to abide by those laws, a lot of people are getting nailed for driving without a license. They're using our roads. They took our lands.
Yeah.
And then they tell us that in order to use our roads, in order to travel, you have to have a license. So we have a number of people saying, I'm not a Hawaiian, I'm not an American citizen. I am not obligated to follow the laws of the United States or the laws of the state of Hawaii.
Particularly for travel within our own nation. upon our own lands. Anyway, so this declaration, what is the plan for it?
The declaration is to have more and more people become familiar with what is the foundation of a Hawaiian national. And over a period of time, and I'm actually looking at a year from now, when we have enough Hawaiians who are saying, I am a Hawaiian national.
And understand what that means.
And so I'm trying to set aside what that means. Then we're going to have to get together and kuka and come out with a document. Some people call it a constitution, whatever you want to call it. How you're going to divide, how we're going to rule. What was that?
Bill of Rights.
The Bill of Rights also. But for example, we have, over the period of colonization, we have come to believe certain things which is not necessarily true. How are we going to operate a government? Simply by saying, oh, we're all Hawaiian nationals. Yeah, so something substantive.
Yes.
What is our territory? Where is our territory of this Hawaiian nation?
Where is our seat of government?
Well, that's another thing we need to decide.
That's what I'm
First
saying.
of all, what is the territory? Our Hawaiian nation's territory is what? It's all of these islands. It's everything going up from the northern islands all the way down to the southern islands, and it includes those islands that had been made a territory of the nation of Hawaii.
Right.
Including in
Stewart Islands and
Stewart
Solomon Islands.
Solomon Islands.
Yeah. And
Cook Islands?
no.
No, not Cook Islands.
Well, Solomon's.
No, we have a couple of other
Solomon's are-
islands.
Some places in the Solomon.
There's one
Island
island
atoll.
in the Solomon Islands that's
Yeah,
part of
You know, I
Hawaii.
think it's important also for us to realize that we are Polynesians
Yes.
and that our nations are bigger
Yeah.
than just our Kora'aina.
Right.
And you know how
So-
powerful that can be for us
Right.
when we are build a union of Polynesian nations.
Yeah.
And you know the triangle, Polynesian triangle, that was the reason why we learned that.
Alright.
Because we're supposed to include all them too.
All right.
And on
So-
top is Hawaii.
Yes.
And
Okay. So.
and
Anyway, just to wrap things up about this, this next year we're going to be concentrating on building the nation from the people, and creating a situation in which our people can actually participate and become active and become how would you say registered, or somehow we are accounting for the nation and our people. So the Coalition of Hawaiian Nationals is starting to identify who we are, who our people are. And we know that everybody will join up as soon as they understand what's involved. So we're embarking on that. So mahalo nui for allowing us to talk about this project and about the Hawaiian Kingdom and about our history and about our passion to see our nation resurrected and reactivated, and joining the family of nations, and joining and actually serving the people of Hawaii in a responsible, in a way of aloha and in kuleana. So mahalo nui for joining us. Again, it's the Coalition of Hawaiian Nationals. Mahalo.
Thank you.
Mahalo.
Thank you, Auntie Nani, everybody that's coming to see us today.
Good to see you.
Malia, Leon.
Mahalo.
Aloha. Mahalo.
Thank
All
you.
the Kanakas out there in the world.
Yeah, mahalo.
Only pa.
So now we've got something
Keep
we
the
can
aloha flowing.
really use. And maybe we can put either Oren can maybe do some editing on it and put it into a type presentation.
I'll take any kind of.
Oh yes.
I want to learn. Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, if you can edit
That was
the
good.
program.
That was